Wednesday here on the Pendulum, although you might not hear this till Thursday. It is also National Superman Day, dubbed so by DC. So
Please
take
don't
that
sue
for
us.
what
John
it is.
Williams.
Anyways, this is Geoff,
Gary,
and
who apparently won't edit this today, but judging by what you just said, probably Thursday.
we don't know. We don't know.
I'm a busy man, Geoff. I got stuff to do. I got stuff
Exactly.
going on.
That's why I said that. You're a busy man.
Going on.
So anyways, we're going to talk about our books, or some books, or a couple of books actually. We're going to talk about
It's a very light week, so we've...
the E3 conference.
Yeah.
And the consoles coming out. More specifically, Garry will be talking about those. We're going to talk about the Game of Thrones finale, 2 seconds of Falling Skies premiere, and something else near and dear to my heart, which will be at the tail end of the show.
Teaser!
But anyways, we're actually going to start this week off a little different. Let's start with the consoles. PS4.
Oh, shit. I was going to be thinking about what I was going to say during the rest of your review.
The X-Bone.
X-Bone.
Or
out of both of us, it's safe to say I am the gamer out of us.
My last system was PS1.
There is a Wii sitting 5 feet from us.
That's Stephanie's. I said my last system.
You're a married couple. You share everything. Those are
That's
your
true.
domos.
I do use it. I don't use the domos though.
No one does. They're in the boxes.
Alright, so I do have a Wii.
Fiends.
I lied. But anyways.
And you love it. So, yeah, annual E3 conference. Hopefully people listening to this are interested in video games as well. But, yeah, there was... Both the big two had their reveals. I'm counting Nintendo not in this big two because they already had their system out anyway. But Sony already showed off kind of the PS4. Microsoft showed off the Xbox One already. But this was the big conference trade show where they get to demo all their games and make actual announcements and things like that. It's kind of getting a bit ridiculous, this conference every year, because they don't need to do it. It's more fan service and kind of pushing to distributors and retail outlets than anything.
It's the hype machine.
It's a giant hype machine. That's all it is. Yeah. And I mean, they could do smaller events or they could just not do it anymore. But it's a bit of a revenue generator for the companies. So it's
sure.
I've always wanted to go, but I'm pretty sure it's like New York Toy Fair and that you need like press credentials to get in, which I'm trying to get for New York Toy Fair next year.
That'd be awesome.
I'm trying. That's why I'm getting my review page up and going. The E3 show kicked off. Microsoft took the ball and had their conference first, which I'm guessing they're regretting now. But
even if they went second,
well,
how much of a difference would that have made?
Probably if there's conspiracy theorists out there, probably a lot of a difference. But conference kicked off. They showed off their games. They debuted. There's going to be a surprise, a Halo game on the Xbox One. I don't think we saw that coming. There was basically a QuickTime game in Rise. It's like a Roman 300-esque game. Looks kind of cool, but heavy QuickTime combat. Price point on the system, little high. Once they actually got around to spelling it out, it's $4.99.
That's a lot.
Which incurred some boos from people because they weren't expecting a $4.99 price point. That's just for the standalone system. There's probably going to be bundles, day one launch, you get a game or whatever.
Even more.
Yeah,
probably.
Exactly. People are thinking the $4.99 price point comes from the Kinect camera that you have to have plugged into the system at all times. They said you can shut it off, but...
Oh, I forgot about that. The online spying debacle.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the online spying debacle is they're going to be using it to track trends, tailor-make achievements possibly for you. You might get I read an article. You might get achievements for watching ads. So like,
see if you're a nudist.
Yeah,
whatever.
Watching you all the time in your. I'm going to feel bad if I say anything inappropriate about the system to my friends while they're in the house and the Xbox is watching. So like, is it just not going to work? Anyway, conspiracy-esque. But the big thing is their online connectivity and their DRM. The system has to check in with the mothership every 24 hours, which...
What if it doesn't?
It doesn't work.
That's crap.
Shuts down.
It
won't let you play online games, won't let you play the single-player game. You can still watch movies and TV.
So if you physically purchase a game, it will not play that game if it hasn't checked in.
If it hasn't checked in, that's the report.
terrible.
Yeah, because they're worried about people pirating their games, and you have to prove that you're a consumer to Microsoft. Now, the used game lock as well, they're allowing the publisher... Microsoft totally passed the buck to the publishers. Sony also kind of subversively did this as well. But the thing with the used games are they're letting the publishers build in lockouts for it. So if you buy a used game, a publisher can decide that after you've installed it, you want to sell it, you have to pay to unlock it. It just seems like ownership is going out the window.
Yeah,
I know some people bring up the Steam example, but it's a digital item. So I mean, there's different. I'm thinking it's different there. You're paying for a license. But if I buy a single player disc, I have to prove that I am who I am. I'm playing it on the system, and it just seems way too many hoops.
Yes.
If I pull out my old NES, I can still play games.
Agreed.
Like my friend.
Any system, really.
Example of
Previous system, I should say.
Yeah.
So what are the high points then of purchasing one if you were going to buy one?
The high points are you've got a nice bigger hard drive in it. It's probably kicking about 500 gigs. The system obviously is a lot more powerful. The systems are basically the same. It all comes down to the features that you like or the features that you don't like, which is going to push people around. Kinect camera, I think, is stupid. I'm not flailing my arms in my living room. I'm done with that.
The check-in is a negative.
Yeah, having discussions with my friends on this, it's almost the points you don't like make your decision for you nowadays as opposed to the points you do like.
Yeah.
I've always been a bigger fan of the PlayStation controller. It's pretty much the same as the previous 3 iterations of the DualShock, so I'm kind of swaying back towards that as a positive feature. But it's all the negatives that seem to be pushing decisions.
And there seems to be a lot of negatives,
about,
according to the online community, about the Xbone.
There's no backwards compatibility. There's no way to have it backwards compatible. When it comes to PlayStation 4, PlayStation went second with their conference. They showed off some okay games. I mean, Gran Turismo is their big racing game. It's usually Forza and Gran Turismo. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not a big racing guy. At least sim racing. I like the arcade racers, but I mean, it's a racing game. How they were pushing like, oh, we've got a new tire model.
Yeah.
Well, great, congratulations. How good are you going to make a tire look?
Yeah, exactly.
Exclusives seem to be what drives system sales.
Is it? I heard New Kingdom Hearts possibly.
There is. They actually announced. So Square Enix proved they can count to 3 after about 8 different versions of Kingdom Hearts 2. Those cell phone versions.
It was a good game though.
I've never played them.
What?
I've never played a single Kingdom Hearts.
It was
game.
good. It was good.
They also switched up Final Fantasy Versus 13. It's now Final Fantasy 15. Looks like Bayonetta crossed with some old PlayStation 2 brawler. It's a big, heavy action RPG.
Is it?
Could be good.
That's a selling point for me. Mm-hmm. Love the Final Fantasy games. Yeah. Love them.
There's a first-person shooter. I think it's a first-person shooter coming out called The Order. It looks like alternate history, steampunk-esque, set in London with a bunch of demon hunters.
Yeah.
Looks really cool. As soon as I saw that was one of my checkmark columns for PlayStation 4. They showed off some tech demos for a couple of things. The Sorcerer was a funny tech demo with the man with lovely eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of funny. There's a big 12-minute video online you can check out. I'll try and find that and put the link in down below. Showed off some nice hardware, but again, I mean, the system specs are pretty much the same. The physical design of the PS4 was showed off. It looks kind of neat. I mean, again, it's a black box. It seems to be most console designs for the last little while are trending now towards the black box.
But it looks better too, anyway.
Oh, it looks a lot better.
For me.
I like it better.
I don't like a white console. I just don't.
Yeah, I like the design compared to the Xbox One. I prefer the PlayStation 4 too. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good things coming up. A lot of nice things coming out. They snuck in that you need a PlayStation Plus account to play online. No one really cared about that because of the other announcements.
That doesn't seem like too much of a big deal.
It's cheaper than Xbox Live, and you get free games all the time as long as you keep being a PlayStation Plus member. So you can just download games.
See, the
hard drive on the PS4 is going to be 500 gigs.
No spying camera.
No
or whatever you
spying
wanna
camera.
call
There
it.
is a PlayStation Eye, but it doesn't come with it in the box. If you want it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. So
There's no
consumer choice. Thumbs up there.
Required check-ins.
No check-in
and
time.
all that stuff.
First party Sony. This is one of the kind of backstepping by Trenton. First party games don't have any DRM, so anything made by Sony or their first party publishers won't have any DRM restrictions for used games. Sony actually even put out a funny video how lending games works on the PlayStation 4s. Here you go, handed the game over. That was lending.
That's cool.
That was kind of funny. Not scripted, they just kind of did it off the cuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Third-party publishers will be given the choice to do DRM. And as publishers have proven in the past with people like EA, they're not good at that by being given options and taking the best route possible.
Yeah.
They will choke every dime out of the customer they can, so that's a little worrisome. But
it depends on what games they put out and if those games even interest you, though.
True.
That's the thing, right?
And they're EA, so they own most of the studio, so odds are there'll be some games people are interested in.
Like Star Wars.
Yes, but the ability to do used games still is a nice thing for them to have done.
Yes.
The price point, $3.99.
It's better.
They got cheers from the conference, and this wasn't the fake reporters that were hired by Microsoft or Microsoft employees cheering like at the Xbox reveal. These were actually people cheering that price point. No every 24-hour check-in. If you have your internet connection goes down, guess what? You can still play single-player games. No check-in time.
That's perfect.
Internet goes down, obviously you can't play multiplayer. Obviously, that goes without saying. But, I own a game, I pay for a game, I take it to my house, I own the game. I can sell it to my friends, I can lend it to them, I can trade it in. It's my game.
It's almost like you have to pay for your internet to continually play your game. So you have to pay your provider, pay for the game, and then keep paying over time to always play that game.
Yeah, and I'm not proving to Sony that I'm a loyal customer.
Like, what if you live in the boonies?
Yeah,
no internet connection.
Director, one of the guys from Microsoft had an interview with on Games Trailers. He's basically saying if you can't get a stable internet connection, there's a product for you. It's called the Xbox 360. So great. There's fragmentation when you come to your product line.
Yeah.
And it's not just people who live out in the boonies that have internet connections. There's a lot of places in Canada where you can't get an internet connection.
That's true.
Or a stable internet connection. It goes in and out on a daily basis some places. I lose my internet connection, and I lose my internet connection.
On a minor point, in Canada, for those that are not in Canada currently, we have a sort of a monopoly between Rogers and Bell, and they own all the lines in Canada. So therefore, you don't have an internet provider here, there, and everywhere, kind of like the US or Europe or wherever. You have two, and then a couple little ones to choose from.
But they rent the lines.
But they rent the same lines.
Yeah.
There's no...
We have a really lousy infrastructure.
So if Bell or Rogers does not service one area of town, then you don't get anything in that area of town. In Canada. All of Canada. And that's how it works. But back to E3.
And it goes back to kind of the online requirement as well. People who are overseas take their Xboxes when they travel. People who are military service on bases. There's just basically saying to them, you don't get to use our product.
Yes.
Which automatically cuts out potential sales.
Mm-hmm.
The PS4 is also going to allow indie developers to self-publish. Xbox is not.
Oh, that's cool.
You get nice selections of free games with the PlayStation 4 as part of your account with the PlayStation Plus. One of the things that actually kind of put me all kind of hyped up for the Xbox One was a new Killer Instinct game.
I watched the trailer for that. It looked exactly like the first one.
It looked nothing like Killer Instinct.
It looked like the first one.
It looked like
had
Street
the same
Fighter.
Voices.
It looked like Street Fighter, but with Killer Instinct skins. Which I understand that fighters have to evolve, but the catch is, it's free day one on the launch with one character. You have to pay for the additional characters.
Oh, that's crap.
So that kind of deflated my
they
hype
give you the
balloon.
crappiest character.
Yeah,
and
Jago
pay
for free.
Yeah,
everyone's favorite.
Jagoff for free.
People loved him. People hated Fulgor and Glacier and Cinder. No one liked those guys. It was Jago all the way.
Yeah, no.
Basically, I'm kind of in the camp of I want a PS4. I've been a PlayStation fan for a while. I've had all the Xbox systems. I've had all the PlayStation systems. I've had all the Nintendo systems. Historically, I'm going to end up with all three anyway. But day and day launch, I think I'm probably going to swing to getting a PS4. Which at this point, that's my own personal decision. I know as a group, my friends and I are looking at different options, but I guess I'm for my own personal sake, it's probably going to be a PS4 this gen. Nintendo had their conference as well, which showed off somewhat of what's coming up for them. A lot of franchises making their debut on the Wii U. They got Super Smash Brothers, which I've never been a huge fan of, but there's a 3DS version, which looks kind of cool. Mega Man's been added to the roster. The Village.
Mega
Man's awesome.
Overhyped.
You mean the fact they've done nothing with him to celebrate his anniversary? That amount of hype?
He's one of those characters.
Awesome.
His games were never that good.
They
were
awesome.
never that good.
Games were awesome.
No.
The Wii Fit Trainer is also in there.
Oh, yeah?
As well as the villager from Animal Crossing. So that's kind of hilarious. I don't have a Wii U, so if that changes in the next little while, I'll probably end up getting the 3DS version of Smash Brothers just to check it out because it looks kind of fun. They also had a new Donkey Kong game by Retro Studios. A little disappointing. I was hoping for possibly a Metroid revival from Retro. And new Mario game, obviously. But no mention of a Metroid, no mention of a Wii U version of Zelda. There was a 3DS version of Zelda coming out that's a sequel to Link to the Past. So that I will be buying. I'm going to get it. I'll wait in line for that if I have to. That was one of my favorite games on the SNES. So a direct actual sequel to Link to the Past, I am in, and I will play the hell out of that game. All in all, with their undercutting Microsoft at every turn, that was one of the things I was saying. If Microsoft hadn't have gone first, there are people thinking that Sony might not have had their price point set. They might have been holding off and being, what's their price point? Undercut them.
But weren't they lower last time as well, though?
No.
No?
The PS3 debuted at $599 or $549. The PlayStation
That's
3.
right.
It was expensive.
Yeah.
The last time Sony undercut a system by $100, I think it was the Saturn. It was a Sega Saturn. So I really enjoyed my Saturn gaming days.
Yes.
But Sony leaps and bounds, I think, won this quote-unquote won the E3 conference. Nintendo, by virtue of some classic franchises coming back, they didn't piss anybody off. They're just, they're like the cousin who's a nice guy, but
I think
whatever.
Out of everything you've said and everything I've read and seen, PS4 for me, if I was buying one.
Microsoft kind of flamed out on this one. They, it's not looking so good for them. What their system does, how they're pushing it, trying to say it's future-proofing by having it always be having to connect it once a day.
Yeah.
It's not really future.
Someone told me yesterday, actually, that with the new Xbox, that it would be the death of console gaming. That's how they phrased it. And they think PC gaming will up its ante now.
The price point attached to PC gaming, for top-tier PC gaming, I think is always going to be kind of a glass ceiling for a lot of people getting into PC gaming.
Yeah.
There's certainly been a resurgence. I mean, it's got a great indie market, but I think there's always going to be consoles around and dominating the market. I mean, hardcore PC gamers have always trumpeted how better their system is. First-person shooters are infinitely better on a PC. I played a lot of Call of Duty and Battlefield with my friends, but I wish I had a keyboard and mouse to play. But consoles, I don't think are going anywhere. They got too much money invested in them.
That's true too.
So,
although I think now Microsoft is gonna have to do a lot of catching up and a lot more goodwill. Stuff
they got a lot of
back,
making up and pleasing people to do. There better be some damn good offers, some good games, a lot more exclusives.
So basically, all they have is Halo and Killer Instinct. Really,
the ones that kind of piqued my interest the most. I'm not the biggest Halo guy in the world. I haven't played them since 2.
Yeah.
Not really a driving point for me.
But general populace-wise,
it would be
Halo's the seller.
But the thing, also, the general populace-wise, are games that will be on both systems. It's going to be those core exclusives that people want. They're going to drive the sales. And for me, there was a couple more on the PS4 as well that I'm more interested in.
Yeah.
The QuickTime QuickTime Roman game looked interesting, but I might get a little tired of just QuickTime combat all the time. I was kind of hoping, a little bit disappointed by Nintendo not announcing a price drop on the Wii U. and killing off the, I guess, standard version of the Wii U.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that SKU would go away and a $50 price cut on the Wii U. That might have got me to go out and buy one. Like, if I can get a Wii U for $299 with a bigger hard drive and everything, I'd probably go pick one up. I'm hoping the system is going to be better later. Maybe they'll do that closer to the launch of the other two systems.
All right. So for you, right now, what would you buy?
If they were on a shelf in front of me right now, I'd pick up a PS4 for certain.
Right. Same mind.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So that's the news on the E3 conference from Garry. You are smart.
I like to think so. Other people don't.
All right. So it's Wednesday. It's book review time.
Book review time.
2 books. We only read one each.
Yes.
There's not a big week. I mean, it was a fairly big week, but we don't buy most of those books. So we're only going to read one DC, one Marvel.
Guess who read which.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll start it off. I read Guardians of the Galaxy number 3.
You're a wagon jumper. You know the movie's coming out. That's
Brian
the reason
Bendis
you got it.
And Steve McNiven. Art was beautiful, of course. Steve McNiven always does a great job.
And it's coming out on a regular schedule.
Because they gave him enough lead time,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think. That's all. But I mean, Sarah Pacelli's hopping on board. I can't remember,
Ooh.
4 or 5 or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, she's also a fantastic artist. So
That means she's off Spider-Man?
I don't know. Possibly.
Is that Sarah Pacelli, Ultimate
Yes.
Spider-Man?
Or she is or was or whatever going on in that book. I don't
Or
read
that
one.
universe is.
Yeah, pretty much. So, in it, from the previous issue, spoiler if you haven't read that, but you should have read that because that was like a month ago. The Guardians of the Galaxy have been captured by the Spartax people or whatever, Legion Army. Anyways, Star-Lord's dad caught him, put him in prison.
Bit of a dick,
you
that
know,
guy.
because they were protecting the Earth from Badoon invasion or whatever was going on there.
I never care for the Badoon.
Badoon are okay, but they're like the classic Guardians of the Galaxy villain.
True.
That's where they came from. That's what they are. So anyways, they're in there. They've depowered Tony Stark's Iron Man suit, tore it apart basically to get him out. Put them all in, suspended animation type dealio tubes, just to, hold on to them for a while. Anyways, not much really goes on in the book. They get captured, they break out, and then Star-Lord gives a little fancy schmancy speech at the end, saying, hey, my daddy sucks. If he does this to me, what's he gonna do to you?
Does his speech also include why his costume sucks now?
It does not.
You look at Abnett and Lanning's costume for him, amazing.
Well,
that
it was
cool
more
mask
along.
design.
It was more along the classic version of the costume. The mask was a bit different, which I liked. I like him with or without a mask, really. His old helmet was cool. His newer helmet, Abnett and Lanning's helmet, was cooler. But now he's pretty much helmetless at the moment.
They have that weird, clear visor thing that he rocks.
Yeah.
I'm not nuts about the Guardians all sharing uniforms.
I don't mind that. It's kind of like when the X-Men share uniforms, right? Not share uniforms, but same uniform design. Like the black and the yellow from Grant Morrison's run there, and stuff like that. Or like the classic X-Factor costumes where they all wore the big X on there.
I prefer teams that function as a team, but also maintain their individuality when it comes to their appearances. Like the Avengers and more or less the Justice League, even though they all have collars.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my preference. So I liked Drax having his own look. I liked Gamora having her own look.
Yes.
Gamora or Gamora? Which one is it?
Gamora.
Gamora?
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Gamora.
Yeah.
Anyway. But
Gamora is a Godzilla.
I know that. Maybe that's why.
Godzilla monster.
Maybe that's why.
Gamora is awesome, by the way.
Yes.
I love Gamora.
But I prefer them as their individual costumes.
Yes,
any
I
mentioning
do too.
yet how the hell he got out of the Cancerverse? Has this even been brought up
That
yet in the
has
book?
not been dealt with in Bendis' previous Avengers Assemble run. When they came back, he never explained it then.
Did he just leave Richie Rider behind?
Do not know, and they still, as of issue 0, 1, 2, and 3, have explained thus far how they've escaped. But possibly, they may be doing that in the upcoming Infinity miniseries.
I was kind of hoping they might, do that too, because
obviously
like
Thanos is back, right? Although they didn't explain that either in the previous Avengers Assemble arc, or this arc, or any arc.
And I haven't read the latest issue of Thanos Rising, but up until the first couple of issues, no mention of how he got out of the Cancerverse.
Yeah, well, that's just his background, because that wasn't anything to do with current events.
He's walking around.
I know he's walking
It's
around.
flashback stories.
It's not flashback stories. It's backstory.
But it's framed as
No, it's
him.
not.
It is, because it's a lead into Infinity. So
no, it's not. Read it again.
I will.
Good.
And I'm right.
No, you're not.
Track record proves I'm right.
You were right on one thing.
Most things.
One thing. Anyways, you were incorrect on this one, and it will be proven thusly. Stay tuned, folks. Good issue. Bendis has sort of a... He writes Iron Man really well, surprisingly, in this issue.
This has been where Iron Man's been basically centrally located. All of his other books have... Mm-hmm. I know his main
He's using,
book
like,
is...
remote suits or whatever.
Which is kind of fun. Like, the face mask flips up in Avengers, and it's just hollow on the inside. That was kind of funny.
I think, though, when he was writing Groot in this book, and I love Groot, he's a little overdoing the I am Groot stuff. I think Abnett and Lanning had a better feel for Groot as they really popularized the character and everything.
Yeah.
Bendis is doing all right with Groot. Not the best. But the book on a whole, not bad. I'm enjoying it. So anyways, I did a Marvel book. What did you do, Gary?
What's your Geoff rating on this book? People love ratings.
I give it, let's see. 3 out of 4 Geoffs.
3 out of 4 Geoffs.
That's right.
That's a fairly decent amount of Geoffs.
That's right.
For people who know me and know my superhero tastes and interests, no surprise, I did Superman Unchained. I just showed the book to the mic. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, show all our viewers again what that book is.
Superman Unchained. It's going on YouTube. There's going to be a picture. So technically, I'm just saying the mic.
All right.
Okay.
And this is issue
1.
Wow, new Superman
book. With the new Superman logo, the 75-year logo on the front, which I like. I like the little silhouette thing.
Yeah, it's alright.
Yeah, I'm coming around to the costume. I wasn't a big fan of it at the beginning of the new 52. I'm still not a fan of the collar. Every time I look at it, I still can't quite understand where the cape is attached to. Kind of just stops at the collarbone there. But that's an artistic decision, I guess.
Does Superman have anything in common with Django?
No.
Alright then.
Why?
Because he's unchained.
Oh, I see. I did not understand that what you were doing there. Funny stuff, Geoff. There's a weird font design on the Unchained logo. It looks kind of like the bottom half of the word is off left justified, while the top is right justified. I don't really care for it. It's just looks a little... I don't understand how that's supposed to represent... what it's saying. I don't know. And this is my own personal thing when it comes to DC and their books. Can we drop the new 52 off the cover?
Yeah, it's not really new anymore.
It's been 2 friggin' years, nearly.
Yeah.
Let's just be done. Like, people know what it is. Let's just call it... If you do a new number 1, or it's an Elseworlds Tale where it's not new 52, don't put it on, obviously, but, drop it from the covers. Let's just let the covers be the covers.
Alright, so basically your review is all about the cover of the book.
Shut up! Back to the cover. No.
So who's it by?
It is by one of probably the best writers on the new 52 so far, Scott Snyder, and drawn by Jim Lee. As I mentioned in a previous episode, Jim Lee does one of my favorite Supermans ever. So
can he keep a monthly schedule?
Yeah, because he left some of his other books, so he's able to do this quite nicely. Book kicks off. This is going to be a spoiler-filled review anyway.
Okay, don't do page by page. Just do.
I like doing fine.
Bunch of pages by pages.
Fine. They kind of do a bit of a revisionist history when it comes to the past of the DC universe in this book.
Of the new 52.
Of the new DC 52,
universe.
yes. Because I'm fairly certain this didn't happen in the old 52, or old DC, or whatever the hell.
Probably not.
Yeah. Kind of an interesting idea.
Those look like Terminator-type bubbly things.
No, not even close. But anyway, it kind of sets up some nice storytelling possibilities and potential coming up. I like the hook of it. I'd like to see it play out, see some more detail of how this all came about. So it's definitely laying some nice groundwork. The much publicized and much hyped 4-page double-sided gatefold picture, kind of tricky to get open the first time.
It looks like a pain in the ass.
It really is. I honestly
glue.
looked at the page for a few seconds and where does this open? Is it stapled? But it's got that weird little tacky glue thing, and it's double-sided. The non-fancy side has a giant spaceship type thing and a little tiny Superman, and then the next side has a giant Superman surrounded by debris. Now, from the second this image debuted, I have not liked it. I think it is just a bad picture of Superman. I'm showing Geoff now.
Yeah, he's
It's the pose. It is so
awkward.
ridiculous and awkward. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's twisted in a way that no human being.
He's
get
not
it.
a human
I
being.
get it.
He's a
Fine.
Kryptonian.
No one would stand like this. It's not a very heroic pose. You don't even get the full S. It's just, Jim Lee has drawn infinitely better poses of Superman, including poses in New 52 books.
But he's not posing. He's destroying.
He looks like he is, but he's also saving. But it's not a good photo. From a technical standpoint, it's incredibly drawn. There's a crap ton of detail on this thing. A little heavy shading on some areas for my taste, and some scratch penciling, but it's the pose. I just don't care for it ever since I first saw it. Also trying to fold the thing back, and sometimes it's like folding a map back into its pouch.
It looks like it's attached by just like that tipped in little
It's a little tiny tab at the front of the book, which then has a corresponding giant cardboard at the back of the book. So that was a little disappointing. As I said, since I first saw the sketches and the penciling online, not a fan of it, so it wasn't really taking me by all that big of a surprise when I'm reading the book. Book has Lex Luthor making a little bit of a fun statement. Even look at this picture here with Superman underwater, floating underwater with his heat vision kicking up, is a better 3/4 frame than that 4-page splash.
Yeah.
That is a more imposing, more iconic Superman photo.
Kind of looks like a Kubert drawing, actually.
It really does. You are correct.
Adam Kubert, specifically.
Yeah. Also a really fine Superman artist. Mm-hmm. But, little disappointing when it came to that. The hey, look at the cool thing we're doing in this book. But Lex Luthor, Superman banter is always nice to see. Sets up some more future storytelling ideas there. Clark is still his own solo independent reporter in this, so this takes place, I'm thinking, concurrently with the other Superman books. There's no differential in the time. I think it's Action Comics that Diggle, quote-unquote, Diggle is doing.
Yes.
Takes place kind of a time-displacing. It's like a year previous, so he's still at the planet.
DC's doing too much time-displacing books.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Yeah, when does this take place? What's happening? Give us a time counter. And then you've got the big reveal at the end of the book, teasing a new character, kind of setting up a cool story, which is a payoff from the shot at the beginning of the book. I like where it's going. I think this could be an interesting book. Scott Snyder, as I said, is a great writer. I've enjoyed his work immensely on the New 52.
I've enjoyed his work on American Vampire.
Yep.
Fantastic book.
And as I said, the art by Jim Lee is fantastic. Another complaint, though, about the book, it doesn't really lay flat because of the 4-pager.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit bulked however you decide to store it. I'm definitely going to pick up issue 2.
It's worth the $4.99.
$4.99, a little high of a price point just for what is essentially a giant oversized page spread. This being $1 less than Green Lantern number 20 was.
Yeah.
There's a lot more content in Green Lantern 20 than there is in this. There's a backup tale at the end, little Jimmy Olsen, Perry White thing.
I was just gonna ask if there was supporting characters.
Yeah, it's by Scott Snyder and Dustin
Nguyen,
I think I pronounced his name. Again, nothing real. It's a 2-page follow-up. It's little story beats here and there, kind of setting up some future stuff. Again, but this being a number 1, a lot of seeds being sown for future stories, which you know what you're getting with an issue 1. And then there's the 5.2, get it? 5.2 questions, because it's 52. I know, so awesome. There's the questions with Scott Snyder and Jim Lee, and they go in about the whole process. It's a lot of filler to try and justify a $4.99 price point, but they actually show what I think is a better cover.
Yes, and the breakdowns.
Yeah,
I like the breakdowns.
Jim Lee breakdowns of this one image in there is fantastic. I wish that that had been the cover, or if that had been the 4-page double oversized spread. But they go into a lot of detail and things like that about the writing process. But they do tags like that at the end of most books. I'm fairly certain the extra price point was for the giant spread. But overall, I enjoyed the book. It's kind of a long read. Scott Snyder's script is rather heavy. There's a lot of internal monologue and quite a lot of dialogue in some of the Lois Clark, Jimmy Olsen sections of the book. But it's a good read. It's Scott Snyder has his typical flair and dialogue. So definitely worth a pickup. Definitely want to see where this plays out and where they go from here. Probably gonna give it a. I don't really have a.
How many Garys?
I don't like that scale.
How many Garys are you giving it?
Jesus, I'm gonna give it 3.5 Garys out of 5. I'm taking some points off for the price point, and I personally just don't like the reason why it's a higher price point with the giant oversized. So I'm kind of curious how that plays on a digital format. If anyone gets these books exclusive digitally, feel free to drop us a comment about how it plays out on the digital version of the book. So that is Superman Unchained.
So we did one Marvel and one DC. No independence and no nothing else.
Nothing.
Not bad. All right, I'll just do a mini trade review. I recently read a Hellblazer trade paperback.
Hellblazer? You mean Constantine?
John Constantine of JLA Dark, or JL Dark fame.
No, it's not. That's not the same John Constantine.
It is true. It is not the same one. So yeah, this is
although he is both cool versions.
Pre-Hoopla, new DC 52 Constantine, the Vertigo version. Anyways, it was Hellblazer. The trade is titled The Gift. It's by Mike Carey, who does excellent X-Men work, although he's no longer on the X-Men, but he did excellent X-Men work. And Leonardo Manco, who's a fantastic artist, one of my favorite artists who does horror work. But that book was confusing.
Was it confusing tying into a lot of previous stuff?
Yes.
Or, okay.
If you have never read... See, I don't read chronological Constantine. I don't read chronological Hellblazer. I pick up an arc here or there or whatever. Now, I'm familiar with the character, and that helps, and I'm familiar with the situations, and that helps. But that particular book is not a good entry point. So, if you are going to read Hellblazer, do not start with The Gift.
Is that a kind of a constant thing with the Hellblazer books? You can jump from story to story? Or...
I do, and I don't have really a problem.
Okay.
Like, one of the best ones I read was a standalone hardcover called All His Engines. Fantastic book. Fantastic.
Cool title.
Yes. But this book, no. You had to have read some previous stuff to get the current stuff, and then the way it jumped from here to there was jarring and a little confusing, and all in all, didn't really make for that good of read. My rating for this trade, 10 out of 1,000 Geoffs.
That is the most arbitrary score.
Well, that's the score.
So
take it or leave it.
Does that mean it's god-awful then? Because that's
all right,
a lot of Geoffs
let's scale it down then.
Okay.
1 out of 10 Geoffs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Literally scaled down. Okay.
I like Mike Carey, and I like the artist.
Scores there for a second.
But not recommended unless you read it chronologically to understand it.
And that's a lot of chronologically to read.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You read more Constantine Vertigo style than I have. How does he compare in the new 52 versus his old Vertigo style? His old Vertigo self, I guess.
Sort of similar. He's still the sort of trickster. He reminds me of Loki a little bit. But,
oh, that'd be a cool showdown.
Yeah, it probably would be. But, he's still the mystical guy. He still knows his shit. He knows
Make
what's
your
going
decisions
down.
in the comments. Who would win, John Constantine or Loki?
Yes. The thing with Vertigo, obviously, is you can do more and get away with more. It's uncensored. Where DC New 52, heavily censored. So, you decide.
Some writers kind of realize that on a crutch, though. So, like, oh, he dropped an F-bomb. He said a C word.
But the thing is, that's who he is. That's his character. For over 300 issues. Well, 300 issues plus some Swamp Thing stuff back in the day. That's who he is. That's what he says, and that's how he acts.
I've probably read more Constantine than DC new than you have, and I enjoy him. He's still got that trickster side to him, the manipulative.
Yeah.
There was a Justice League Dark story arc where they went to this magical world that affected all their quote-unquote powers, and Constantine's effect on him was that he couldn't lie.
That's funny.
And he's like, he hates it because he's like telling everyone the truth, and he can't stand it. So that was kind of funny.
That's kind of funny, yeah.
He clearly is a different character than he was.
Yes. Well,
But I'm enjoying reading Constantine in the New 52.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I didn't read a ton of him back in the old Vertigo days.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm enjoying, from what I know of Constantine, this Constantine. I'm enjoying it.
That's cool. So you'd recommend it then? The new Pre-52 Constantine?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Would you recommend Keanu Reeves as Constantine?
I actually like that movie.
Oh my god. It was okay.
I like that movie.
Wasn't the best.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It's one of those movies where I can just watch it and enjoy it. Every once in a while I'll just pop it in. It's the only Shia LaBeouf movie I actually enjoy as well.
Oh my god.
Bet you didn't remember he was in that.
No, I did not.
There you go.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yep.
Another appearance.
And as it's going back to our first episode, another Prison Break alum is in that movie as Satan.
Dominic Purcell?
No.
Wentworth Miller?
No, one of the older prison guys.
Okay.
And Tilda Swinton's in it. She's awesome.
She's okay.
Rachel Weisz.
Yes.
Rachel Weisz.
I enjoy her muchly.
Yes.
So, alright. Did you watch the Game of Thrones finale this week?
No, I was so mad after. Yeah, I watched it. I'm not so pissed that I'm canceling or not viewing it.
I thought episode 9 would have been a better finale than episode 10.
Well, that's kind of the trend with the series. 9 is the penultimate episode where everything happens. We had Ned from season 1, Blackwater from season 2, the Red Wedding from 3. 10 kind of is like the deep breath, is kind of like the exhaling after the plunge. Mm-hmm. You kind of show where people are. You set the board for the next season. You have the aftermath of what happened. So it's not designed to be the massive cliffhanger that a lot of shows do for their season finales.
But the cliffhanger is what keeps you coming back for more.
I think the drama inherent in the show and the what happens on the 9th episode of that series is more than enough to keep people coming back.
I know, it's true. It's had its highest ratings this year so far, so obviously...
I will say I wasn't nuts about the final shot and how they ended that episode.
With
I know. Daenerys and the crowd surfing montage with her dragon floating around. From what they set up, there's some things I would like to have seen for a season finale. Mm-hmm. I don't want to spoil any of the books for people or TV shows. I know you haven't read the books.
Well, I'm going to speak on that in just a second, actually.
Oh, Jesus.
So
yeah, I won't. They're not where I would have ended season 3 because season 4 is the second half of the book.
Well, that's where you're actually wrong, and I will explain
where I'm actually right.
No, I just read an interview with the HBO execs and George R.R. Martin. Actually, for season 3, they've adapted 2/3 of book 3, according to them, for this season, which leaves 1/3 for next year. But they don't think they'll have enough material in that 1/3 of a book, so they might start adapting part of 4 for that as well.
I know exactly why they're doing that.
The other problem is, as I read this article, was that I guess book 4 is boring as all out. It's boring.
Not boring as all. This isn't a spoiler if people haven't read the books, but book 4 basically starts out almost a completely new cast of characters.
Yes.
And part of the problem they had in season 2 was the book kicks off at Dragonstone with Baratheon and Melisandre there. It starts. That's the beginning of the book. That's jarring to a TV audience who's tuning in after watching the end of season 1. Where are my characters? That's why season 2 doesn't start at Dragonstone like the book does. So I was always kind of suspicious when they got around to book 4. Mm-hmm. You tune in from an 8, 9, 10 month break in the season. Yeah. And then you're watching the show that says Game of Thrones. You're like, well, who the hell are these people? Exactly. So maybe if they do kind of bring in the characters from the beginning of book 4 into season 3. That's the thing I was getting to. Is
they go on to explain that because 4 is so boring, they're actually thinking now of adapting 4 and 5 simultaneously as they take place relatively within the same time
frame. There's a lot of overlap. They could get 2 seasons out of 4 and 5, though.
That's what they're sort of planning to do. But now they're worried as well because he hasn't finished book 6. And it took him 6 years to write book 5. So he is hoping they adapt all the minuscule stuff to stretch these seasons right out, or do a prequel season with his Wild Cards books or whatever they are that take place before.
Give him time to finish.
Exactly, but the
6 and 7.
problem with book 4 is too many new characters, no Tyrion, no Daenerys, no whatever, which is why they want to do book 5 as well simultaneously, so you still have the draws that keep people coming back. Because really, I think Tyrion is the main draw for everyone
at this
right
point.
now. He
Besides
is like
the boobs.
He's the funnest character. He's the coolest character. You want to see what he's gonna do.
Episode 9 of this year had no Tyrion, and I don't see people complaining that much.
I know that's true, but when he's in the scene, he's the stealer.
Yeah,
he steals the show.
I've only read maybe a quarter of book 4, but it is kind of jarring after book 3 going kind of wiping the slate and starting with new characters at that point. Mm-hmm. They do get into the world, but it does take a little bit, so it would be jarring for a TV audience. But the guys that are writing the show, doing the screenplays and that, I think they've proven themselves to be a good enough writing team where, I'm not too disappointed if they catch up to where Martin is and they decide to go their own way.
Well,
I mean, look at what they've
done. He
done
does not want that to happen whatsoever.
Well, then fucking write the goddamn book.
Well, that's what he's trying to do, and he's tired of everyone asking him that.
Well,
so here's what's going to happen anyways.
Does he have any say in what happens to it?
Yes.
Does he? He signed over the rights to do the TV show.
I don't think he signed over 100%.
But if they catch up, or if they have no material to adapt...
Well, here's what they said in the article, was that if they catch up...
Can we put a link to this article somewhere? Because I want to read this.
If they catch up and there's nothing else to adapt at that point in time, taking a break or doing a prequel basically lets everyone out of their contracts. And that's the thing. Will they want to come back a year, 2 years, 3 years from now? Hard to say. So they're thinking maybe let them out of their contracts, but sign them up for maybe a movie or 2 movies or a trilogy a la Lord of the Rings type movies. If he finishes that 6th book. But now he's also talking about doing a 7th book. He hasn't even finished book 6, and he wants to possibly do book 7.
I thought it was always supposed to be 2 more books.
No,
it was supposed to be 7.
He was doing 1 for sure, but in the article he's now thinking of doing a 7th
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be 7 to begin with.
It's his own words. Just telling you.
I thought it was supposed to be 7.
So, we'll see what happens. But anyways, season finale, it was alright.
I enjoyed it. I mean, again, we got some Tyrion work. Sansa was probably her least annoying that I've seen her in quite a while in that episode.
She was a little better this episode, actually.
Varys and Shay are awesome characters. I'm enjoying them. Joffrey is as grinchy as ever.
Yes.
Whenever Tywin speaks, I feel like I've done something wrong that he's calling me out on. Cause he's like,
he's pretty cool.
Yeah, I enjoy him. I enjoy him as a character, and the actor portraying him, whose name escapes me at the moment, is phenomenal. So I enjoyed the season finale, and it's gonna be a long
winter
March till it comes back.
I know, a long time.
Yeah.
So Game of Thrones ended, Falling Skies began. Have you watched that show?
No.
One of the better sci-fi shows on television.
Hang on, let's be clear here. Is it not one of the few sci-fi shows on television?
There's actually quite a few now. Continuum, Defiance, Lost Girl, Haven. There's quite a few these days on TV.
These all sound great.
You haven't watched any of them, have you?
Probably a reason for that.
Because you don't watch TV.
I don't have TV. It doesn't mean I don't watch TV.
Well, anywho, I was way back in season 1 wary of the show because it had Noah Wiley.
What season is this?
3.
Way back in season
Noah
1.
Wiley of ER fame.
Is it actually a sequel to ER? Because that'd be amazing.
That would have been awesome. But no, it's not, because it's on TNT. So,
Aww.
not NBC,
Passing
where
references,
everything fails.
Maybe? Passing references to ER.
Yeah, I know. It was, season 1 was a tiny bit boring, because it was still finding its legs. But season 2 was pretty good. Season 3 did a time
show wasn't
jump.
boring and sci-fi hadn't found its legs in the first episode.
Man.
Firefly.
Got canceled.
Shut
What does
up.
that tell ya? We can do a Firefly episode later.
Tell you.
That'll be awesome.
I will bring that up at every opportunity.
All right. So season 3 took a little time jump. A little confusing because of the time jump. Not sure what the hell happened in between there. So yeah, but still cool. Battle scenes, pretty awesome. Kind of reminds me of V, if anyone watched V. Remember Classic V or New V? Did you see V, Gary?
No.
Did you ever see V?
I watched a couple episodes and
Of New V?
of New V.
New V was okay. I liked Classic V, I think, better.
I like calling it New V.
Alright.
Kind of
Anyways, if you haven't seen Falling Skies, watch Falling Skies.
I heard the CG is a little dodgy with the aliens.
It's better this year, actually.
Yeah.
The budget has expanded.
Ooh.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, anyways. Alright, to the best part of the podcast.
Is this what you were talking to me about on the way into Heroes?
It's... What place is this? Are we name-dropping people for advertising here? I don't think so.
Yes, because we don't want to piss off our sponsors. Shut up.
Sure, yes. It
Give
was
a
what I
little,
was
get a
telling you
little.
about on the way into Heroes.
Oh, Jesus. Can you repeat what our conversation was on the way in so people know what my reaction was?
I actually don't recall anymore.
You were going to be discussing something on the podcast, but it was going to be a surprise, and my reaction was, oh, God.
Yes.
Because
Well, it'll probably still be that reaction, because it's about the best summer blockbuster of the year so far, Fast and Furious 6. It was amazing!
Go
It
fuck
was so good!
Go fuck yourself.
It was better than Iron Man 3.
Oh.
It was better than Star Trek Into Darkness. It was better than every movie that's come out so far this year. It was so good. I cannot tell you.
Oh my God, your Vin Diesel boner is
You
showing.
have never... You haven't watched it yet. You can't say... It was so good! Oh, I can't even explain. Like, oh my God. The writing, so good. Action,
The
amazing.
writing.
It was.
The writing was so good.
Directing.
Oh, you don't even know.
Wow.
So good.
The stunts,
Directing.
awesome. Bringing down the plane, so cool.
In the 500-mile runway.
Yes. In England.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, it was just
The
the
writing.
greatest movie. I cannot tell you.
Greatest.
Now that is how you do a trilogy, Star Wars, or a sextuplety, whatever. Sextology.
The word is
or
sextology, Jeff.
Sextology. That's how you do it, Star Wars. You make them interesting and awesome. That's how you do it. Took off right where 5
I actually
left
have
off
a tear.
almost.
I have a tear streaking
Of
from my
joy.
eye.
Tears of joy.
Nope, it's not joy. What's the opposite of joy? Despair?
Ecstatic.
No, the opposite of joy is Fast and the Furious.
You haven't seen it, you can't say.
I know the ending tease,
The ending tease was awesome!
and that is
And-
all I needed to know about the movie.
And that's how you tie that shit in, man. They tied that ending into Fast and the Furious 3 Tokyo Drift! Yeah!
I thought the tease was like a surprise character,
It is.
and
And
then
they tied it into Tokyo Drift.
which no one gave a shit about.
I gave a shit. Tokyo Drift was awesome!
That's
It was drifting! Cars drifting!
that's the redheaded stepchild of the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Actually, I think number 2 was.
Two had Walker.
I
Three
don't care.
did not. Bombed so hard they had to bring Paul Walker back. If you're in a movie
And
franchise,
Vin Diesel.
if you're in a movie franchise where you have to bring Paul Walker back in, you've got a problem.
Well, Paul Walker is awesome in these movies, I must say. Especially 6. 6 was so good. It had The Rock. It had Vin Diesel.
Fucking six.
It
of
had
them.
that Chinese guy, I don't remember his name, but he was awesome, and so was that girl he was in love with in the movie, and it was awesome. And
Michelle Rodriguez.
No, that's Vin Diesel's
No.
love interest. What's her name? Liddy. Liddy came back, not dead. Surprise, end of Fast Furious 5, Fast 5. Surprise, she's alive. Boom, she's
Okay,
back.
so hang on. Let's go through the names. We have Fast and the Furious.
Fast Furious 2.
I thought Fast and Furious 2 had like
Or was it Too Fast, Too
Too
Furious?
Fast, Too Furious.
Too Fast, Too
Then
Furious.
it was Fast. Was it then 3 was just Fast and Furious 3 Tokyo, Drift.
Yes.
4 was you can't
I
even
don't
remember.
know. I don't remember.
5 was Fast 5,
That's right.
and 6 was just Fast and the Furious 6.
Actually, when I was watching the title credits, I
Six
don't
Fast,
actually
six
remember seeing the word "the Fast and." it just said Furious 6. So
I don't even know their own titles for their movie. What's the 7th one going to be called? Fast 7?
FF7, sheer awesomeness.
If they name it FF7, I'm burning the theaters down to the ground. You do not call that FF7.
FF7, the real way to do a sequel. FF7, yeah. It was...
FF7 should be and should only ever be called for one thing. Final Fantasy 7. And if it's a bunch of D-bags racing around in shit cars...
There will be a new one. And they aren't shit cars, they were amazing cars. Yeah, action sequences.
Jumping out of
just,
planes. Sustaining no damage.
Oh, it sustained damage.
And tanks.
Wait till you watch it.
The planes sustain the damage.
You've got to watch it. So far, you've skipped out on 2 summer blockbusters. Star Trek Into Darkness, FF6. You skipped out on both.
FF6!
You've skipped out on both of them.
Why are you killing the gamer in me?
Don't know why.
Fuck. Fast and the Furious 6. Son of a bitch. Fast and the Furious 6, I have zero fucking interest in.
I don't understand why. Cool cars, beautiful ladies, cool actors, The Rock, Jason Statham, surprise spoiler, Jason Statham.
Writing, shitty acting.
Awesome writing, awesome acting, cool story, cool, like, villain.
And Star Trek Into Darkness, I was disappointed by the first one. I had very little interest. I wanted to go see it, and then I started seeing all the spoilers. I couldn't avoid them, and I just dove in, read about the movie, and my interest in the movie kind of just dropped away.
Well,
I might go see it on a cheapie night or use a free coupon, but I just...
You cannot judge a movie if you've only seen a trailer. You cannot.
I know. I can judge it by story points and plot points that I've read about. That's fairly easy to do.
Doesn't do it justice. You gotta see that shit on the big screen.
It's a demo reel.
And
let's be honest.
Awesome.
It is Abrams' demo reel to Lucas. Look what I can do.
Yep. Make better Star Trek movies than Star Wars movies.
To get him a job to make Star Wars movies.
Nah.
It's a demo reel.
No way, man. Those Star Wars movies are probably gonna suck crack too. So
suck crack too. That sounds like a subtitle for Fast and Furious.
Best movie in a year from now, or even 2 years? FF7. I haven't even seen it, and it's probably gonna be the best movie.
I hate you.
FF7.
Fucking hate you.
FF6 was amazing. I recommend it to everybody. Like 8 billion out of 8 billion Geoffs go see that. 8 billion of 8 billion Garys as well.
It's coming from the guy that has Highlander Endgame on his shelf.
Endgame was better than 3.
3 was good.
Wait, what was 3? The Arctic one. In the snow and shit with Mario Van Peebles. Right? I'm thinking 2.
2 never happened.
2 was garbage.
2 never happened.
We will do a Highlander podcast. That'd be awesome.
I'll take 5 minutes.
Why?
They all suck except 1.
I know, 1 is the best. TV show? Crap.
I like the TV show. Shut up.
Crap. What?
Any TV show where you have a...
Number 2 was better than the TV show.
Oh.
At
The
least
TV
it had
show
Sean
had the lead singer
Connery.
of who?
No. Anyways, go see FF6.
Don't see FF.
Do yourself, your
don't
brain,
call it FF.
and your
What?
eyes, and your ears,
You're
and
making
your
me
soul.
do it. Will
do
bleed
your
if you see
soul
this movie.
a favor and go see FF6.
As far as let's get to the topic of good
you
movies.
will not be disappointed.
No, fuck, shut up.
But next week's episode, we will be talking about Superman.
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
I am. What time is it as we record this? Like 11. I am 30. Fuck, a few hours, a day and a bit away from seeing Superman Returns. I'm going to the Thursday night showing at some weird quasi halfway between VIP and IMAX. AV. Actually, it's called AVX, which I thought was kind of funny.
That's kind of funny, yes.
They don't have, you can't buy booze. I'm not sure if you have these in the States, if anyone from the US is listening. Up here we have VIP theaters where you have to be 19 plus to get in, and you can buy drinks. It would be 21 in the States, obviously. But you can get in, it's reserved seating, you can buy food, you can get a beer, a glass of wine, whatever you want. We also have the big IMAX 3D screens, which obviously people in the States have as well. But there's something up here, some theaters, I haven't seen them before. It's kind of halfway between. The screen is bigger than a normal VIP, reserved seating, but you can't buy booze there. but it's not giant, huge, wall-sized dome theater
Yeah.
in IMAX. So I got tickets to go see Man of Steel at the first showing in town Thursday night, and I am so psyched. This is the second time I've gone through this.
Huh.
I have higher hopes. I've been on basically a Man of Steel lockdown for the last 2
Then
weeks.
Superman Returns? What?
Shut up.
What's
I've been
wrong with that?
I've been on lockdown for Man of Steel. I've avoided the 14 TV trailers they've been showing.
And yet you couldn't avoid them for Star Trek Into Darkness.
I didn't really care enough to avoid them.
Oh, I see.
I don't want to suffer from Amazing Spider-Man syndrome, where 45 minutes of the movie is revealed in the trailers. So I've been actively avoiding.
So next week,
So hyped!
the great debate. Next week's
Oh,
podcast.
Jesus, we're debating how awesome Man of Steel is?
No.
Oh, shit, really?
It'll be, will FF6 remain the best summer blockbuster of the summer, or
Stop calling it FF6!
will Man of Steel beat that? Because I
I'm
will
gonna bleep
also
out
be
every
watching
time
that.
you say that in this entire podcast.
You will not bleep out anything. This is the unedited, true Garry
It's just gonna
and
be
Geoff
like a
show.
sparkle sound. That's every time you say it. It's just gonna be a sparkle. Or we're gonna have a Team Rocket blasting off again sound effect. That's all it's gonna be.
Anyways, will Man of Steel beat FF6 for the title champion?
Duh.
We don't know.
So many sparkle sounds.
But we're both going to see it. We'll talk about it next week. On top of everything else we talk about.
Hopefully some more books will be nice. A couple more books to read.
couple more books,
Yeah.
maybe. We'll see what happens. More Noah Wiley goodness. Is Noah Wiley better than Firefly? What's Nathan Fillion? Is he better?
Wow.
No, he's not, actually.
Okay.
I know. I thought you probably thought I was going somewhere else with that. Wrong. Nathan Fillion's king. King!
Okay, good. The way I heard that, you had it flipped for a second.
That's it for this week. Pendulum. Glad you're here, all you Pendulites.
That sounds awful.
I don't know what we're gonna call you. Pendulites.
Pendalites is kind of like kind of says Hellraiser-ish.
Cenobites.
Yeah, I'm rethinking it. I might actually like it.
Alright, we'll think about it. Or you guys can call yourself whatever the hell you want. Folk out there. Anyways,
Make sure to check out our blogs at our respective
right.
blog sites and our Twitter feeds to keep updated on
Facebook.
things.
We're everywhere now.
We are everywhere you want us to be.
Exactly.
And some places you don't want us to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, this is Geoff.
And Garry.
Watch FF6. We're out.
Don't call it mom!